Okay, I think we're live. I think. I just have to verify this.
I
Um,
see a live symbol right at the
it
top
says
there.
live, but you can never trust the thing.
There.
Because I don't trust the thing.
Don't trust.
We are live. I'm looking at it right now. Okay, on TMFA. Hi, everybody. It is Coach Chris Lang. And you may notice that things are a tiny bit different this week, just because there is another face next to mine. And last week I did promise you that I would have a very special guest on with me, and it is so. So we're going to talk. I'll introduce my guest here in just a second, but let me set the ground rules for our party time today. All right, as always on Technique Tuesday, we're here to discuss training. We're here to discuss accent training in particular and how that interfaces with your career, with your life as an actor, with your business as an actor, with your agent, your manager. Every facet of your career is going to be influenced by accent training, and that's why we're here. But it doesn't help if we don't know what your questions are. And it doesn't help if I don't know who's here watching this thing. So if you are watching this, as always, please say hello. Tell me where you're watching from, why you're here, what you're looking to learn today. I want this to be a conversation. We don't just want to like spit out knowledge from on high, and that's not this business. We really want to get into what you need to hear today in terms of your training in this moment, in this world today. So please do say hello. Tell us why you're here, where you come from, and all that information. And if you have any questions, please at any time put them in the chat. At any time at all, please do put those in the chat so that we can see them. No matter what my guest and I, Eliza is her name, are talking about, you should feel free to interrupt us with any question, because I'll put a pause on and we'll address that question, and we'll get back to what we're going to talk about today, which is how to succeed on set in your accent acting. All right, pretty big concept and pretty big topic today. So that being said, great, I'm seeing comments and people saying hello. We've got Anna here, and Shaylin is here, and Lee is here. So we've got Canada, 2 Canadians, all right? So Anna, where are you from in Canada? Because Shaylin's from Toronto. And I don't want to necessarily set up the East Coast, West Coast, Toronto versus, British Columbia, Vancouver. That's the word I'm looking at. My brother lives there. I can't even remember the name of the place.
I was waiting for it. You said British Columbia, and I was like, okay, specific.
So I'm getting closer and closer. I don't want to say. So Quebec and Toronto. So that's okay. All right, maybe some hockey rivalry there, but we won't get too out of hand today. All right, guys, enough of me chatting here. Let me introduce to you my dear, dear friend and colleague, Eliza Simpson. Eliza is an accent coach that I work with all the time. We pal around and do work together. And Eliza, just introduce yourself to everybody. You've been on here before. It's been a few months, I think, since they saw you last. I think that was maybe back in June or May even. So it's been a while. So just introduce yourself and say hello, and we'll go from there.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eliza. I'm a Brooklyn-based dialect and accent coach for film, television, and some theater. And I'm very passionate about helping actors realize and harness the power of their vocal tool in the service of storytelling. So I'm here for that. That's what I'm here for.
Fantastic. Well, Eliza, welcome. I'm so pleased that you could join me today. I always love when we work together and we teach together. So I'm really excited. The only downside that my friends to having Eliza here with me is that I have one of those little smart devices that has a name. It's ALEXA, and every time I say Eliza's name, my little device thinks that I'm talking to it. So you guys hear in the background his voice saying, I don't know how to do that. What song would you like me to play? That's the only thing that's going on here. So that's the only downside. Outside of that, it's only upside to have Eliza.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I do find that a lot. Often when I'm working with clients, that will happen. And sometimes it's around really interesting things, like my style of coaching, like Chris, has to do a lot with the anatomy of the body. So we'll be talking about things that in the vocal instrument, in the vocal tract, and I'll start saying things like the names of muscles and stuff, and she'll pipe up and be like, a bone connecting the This, it should like get real technical, and we'll be like, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I think you should tell that story all the time. I'm kind of in love with that story. It's great. All right, let's see who else is here. So Liz is here, so from Oklahoma. What part of Oklahoma, Liz? I'm curious to know. Bob is here, says greetings from Nashville, originally from Michigan. Be curious to know how your accent has reflected that journey. That's kind of a cool story. Let's see, Shaylin says, I'm currently working on my first audiobook narration gig, congratulations, where I'm needing to juggle between multiple accents in quick turn, much more than I've had to do before. Any tips for the quick reset between dialects and neutral voice quickly? I'm assuming you need your own accent that you're narrating in quickly. Shaylin, that's a great question. That's a really, how do we shift between accents that quickly? Eliza, would you care to field that one first?
Oh, that is it. No, I'm happy to. I think that it sounds like Shaylin or Shalin. I apologize if I have multiply pronounced your name incorrectly. But it sounds like what you're already doing is manipulating your vocal tract posture. So to achieve these different character voices, you're moving around the anatomy, kind of taking on a different posture, a different stance here in the instrument. Moving between those quickly is a skill, but it is a technical skill. So congrats to you for already doing it well. To move between it quickly and kind of with a definite change cleanly, what you want to do is give yourself some way to check in and focus on one physical element and prioritize that. So one character has this physicality, maybe right here in the jaw, and focus in on that. The next character has maybe a very centralized tongue with a point of contact, you know, that tongue touching the back of the teeth. Now I'm using technical terms and Chris uses technical terms, but however this makes sense to you, see if you can really categorize it by point of focus inside the instrument. Yeah, I think that sounds like the quickest and most efficient way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more with that. I think that anything you can do to create distinction between your accents physically, because your ear may forget. Your ear may not be able to like remember what those things kind of sort of sounded like that one time. That one time you kind of heard it that one way in that one room. So the physical distinction is going to be everything. It's going to be your anchor, especially if they're very distinct between characters. Plus, know this, having done audiobook narration myself, your best friend is the pause button. There's no rule that says you can't pause, check back in, do a run up, hit record, and continue where you left off. That's a pretty good technique to be able to have for yourself. You can also, you know, one of the things that you learn how to do is if you're recording from home, to get a marker in the waveform so you can edit out stuff and so you don't have to stop. And for me, I like to snack next to my microphone, creates a spike in the waveform so you can see where that happens. So kind of techniques if you need to stop and do that. So Shaylin, great question. Thank you for that. So Shaylin has set the bar, my friends. Right now, okay, so now you all need to level up here with some extra questions. All right, let's see what else we have. All right, Rosetta says, I have a couple of lessons with Chris. And I'm like, that's right. Rosetta, hi. Really felt the difference and enjoyed it. Hello, everyone. Rosetta, thanks for showing up. Liz says Newcastle near Oklahoma is where you're coming in from. And Shaylin says it's right, Shaylin. I believe that's how the spelling has been delineated to encourage pronunciation. But again, my friends, spelling is no guide for pronunciation. So if we see your name and butcher it, please just let us know. We're trying our best. And if we screw it up, we're screwing it up full bore.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy to learn it a different way.
Instruct us. Let us know.
All right. Daniel White says, all the way from sunny Los Angeles. Okay. Here's a great question. On the road to onset, this is a part of what we're going to talk about. Should you enter the audition room using the accent that you have studied for the audition or your own? What do you think, Eliza?
You know, I do get this question often. I think it's valid. Different casting directors feel differently. But my point of view is that it is easier to perform an accent if you are in accent to begin with. That's just true. That's like getting yourself warmed up to do a sport. You don't sit down and let the muscles cool. You want to keep yourself there.
Especially a new accent, maybe, that you haven't necessarily touched on in long term before.
Mm-hmm. So I think you got to judge it on a case by case, but don't necessarily go off the character or the kind of genre of the piece. Rather, go off your relationship with the casting director. Do they already know you? Have they met you? Would they remember you? In which case, use your own accent. Enter. They'll probably be more forgiving if you ask for an extra moment before you start. Can I just have a moment? And then you try out, get yourself there. This might look like your ordinary backyard, but it's a veritable breeding ground for dangerous snakes. Okay, I'm ready to go into the scene. All right, let's do it. Fantastic. That said, if they don't know you, if this is if it's kind of a short scene, or, you know, if you feel like the press of time, g'day, how's everyone doing? All right, I'm ready to start the scene. Here we go. Go right into it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eliza stole my answer, so I don't have anything to say after what Eliza said. Because it really is just based on your relationship with casting and the context. Be sure, though, ask your accent coach for that advice before you go in. Because if you're even a little bit like uncertain, ask us. Ask me, ask Eliza, whatever coach you're working with. We'll want to talk you through to help make that decision so you have the best shot at success in that audition.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Let us know. We're here to help.
I think, Chris, you just bring up a really good point right there. Is that, you know, we don't mind being asked. In fact, we love these queries. If you've got an accent coach, ask them. Chris was talking to me about this earlier. And Chris, how did you put it exactly? It was
brilliant, whatever it was.
It was so beautiful.
We're here to help, and I can't help you if you don't ask me. Right? So you please ask. Ask away. You are never bothering us with questions. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Our primary job in this business is to provide support for actors to be successful in accent acting. And for us to be able to do that, we have to know that you need help. And you have to ask for that help so that we can help you, because we're passionate about helping. That's why we're here. That's why Wendy has asked us on here. Right? That's why I'm here every Tuesday. So yeah, ask. We want to be able to help you with this. Cool. Okay. Cool. All right. So our Rafael Castro says, I hope I said that right. Tell me if I didn't. I'm here to learn more about mastering accents and also to neutralize my South African accent so I can learn the general American accent. I also want to promote myself as a voiceover talent. Well, Rafaela, welcome. And yeah, so if you're looking to master accents, you come to the right place. We're both very passionate about helping you master accent skills so you can be good at every accent that you ever want to attempt, and you can have a shot at success there. But let me address this. You say you want to neutralize your South African accent. Mm-hmm. And I am going to push against that gently and firmly and insistently and say no. All right? What you actually want to do is I want you to keep your South African accent. I want you to get to know it so well that it's a bosom buddy. I want you to hug it close and love it and understand it from left, right, up, down, backwards, forwards, and all of that. Because your accent is a part of you, a giant part of your identity and who you are as a human being. And we never want to get rid of that, because if we reduce your accent, we reduce your identity. And if we reduce identity, we reduce art. Because your art comes from your identity. So we never want to lose that. Plus, South African accent, marketable skill. You're going to be cast using it. You don't want to get rid of it at all. At all. Anything to add to that, Eliza?
Yeah. I mean, Chris has put it beautifully. And the great thing about accents is that they are a collection of sound. They are, you know, yours. They are your collection of sound. So your home accent is yours and precious. But just like your favorite outfit, you're allowed to have as many outfits as you want. but it doesn't mean you have to give up one. And so what we'll do when you work with an accent coach is we'll add to your store of sounds. We'll make it so that you feel confident and comfortable and authentic in the general American accent, in addition to all of the other ways that
you're going to have a big accent closet that never runs out. There's many out if you want. I love that, Eliza. I love that. That analogy. That's fantastic. Okay. Rosetta Lemony says, my challenge now is moving from British accent to American accent. Any tips or exercises on how to improve on this? Very much. I have one big tip. Study with an accent coach. All right? No professional's career was ever built on it. But while we can offer like little hints here and there, and we'll talk about on set some stuff that happens there, just because we gotta get you ready ASAP. But over time, it's technique. Technique, skill, and you just learn that over time from consistent early study with a professional accent coach. So that's the biggest thing. Without knowing your voice better in this moment, I can't speak directly to where you want to look for, direction in terms of the things to work on in between those accents. So,
legit.
Yeah. So come study with us. We're here. I have a website, dialectcoachchrismike.com. You can schedule a free 20-minute Zoom consultation with me there. Leave your information in my very, very friendly chat box, and you'll get a link to sign up for that Zoom consult. Eliza, how do they get in touch with you?
I too have a website. It's called dialectsnow.com. You can also find me on Insta at dialectsnow, Twitter dialectsnow, or TikTok at dialectsnow. So
okay. Consistent throughout at dialectsnow, no matter what.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah, so please do reach out to one of us. We're here to help. Love to help you with that. Switch between British and American and doing, wherever your native accent lives inside that spectrum as well. We'd love to be a part of that. Okay, got a lot of questions. I'm loving this, by the way. At some point, we'll talk about what we came here to talk about. But I'm loving your questions right now. So Tiffany Shannon Smith says, I'm working on a few accents. I want to be comfortable when in character. It's so beautiful being able to tell a story in another person's image, and that's your voice. Absolutely. Yeah. What's the key to being comfortable when in character with you? What do you think?
Ooh. Tiffany. Yeah, that's the question. That is the key. First of all, being comfortable in your home accent, because comfortability in the technique of accents, comfortability equates understanding, right? When you understand how you make sound and in what patterns, then you feel comfortable with that. You feel confident in that. And you want to be comfortable and confident in a new character. You just need to get clear about what sounds they make and the patterns they make, the way that posture lives in your body, the music and the intonation of the accent. These are all things that you can study. You can get better. The thing that I love about accents is that all of us have the same machinery. You know what I mean? Accents don't come from some secret organ in the body. They come from right here. And we all have, for the most part, the same machinery. Yeah. We can all achieve the same things. It's just the speed. It's just the speed at which we get to it.
Yeah.
And we all remember what it was like learning a new skill in elementary school, when you were little. Some kids were fast. Some kids learned it really, really fast. And some kids learned it at a more regulated pace. But at no point did we say those kids are math kids and they will now do math. And the rest of you should stay away from math. You know what I mean? We never said that because it would be crazy. Crazy. So that's what gets me so excited about accents is that anything is achievable. You just gotta kind of check in with yourself, be okay at the rate that you're moving.
In process. the whole time, right? Yeah, I mean, to dovetail off of what Eliza said, there is a key to being comfortable in accent. It's time. Time and consistent targeted practice over that time with, a dialect coach, with my or Eliza's eyes and ears on the thing. Like, that's the thing that equates to comfortable over time. That's the biggest thing. So come study with us.
For real, for real.
All right, let's see what else we have here question-wise.
I love these questions.
Yeah, these are great, by the way. We set the bar, and then you guys keep pulling the bar. So, all right, Shaylin says, I found myself talking about facial and some physical touch points switching. For that audiobook narration, yeah, that's key. That's key to go back and do that. Okay. Ooh, Tyler Millsaps has a question. When choosing an area to move to, what differs on Atlanta and LA? I would say lots of things, right? Lots of different things. LA's a bigger market. Atlanta's a smaller market. Lots going on in Atlanta, but lots being imported into Atlanta from LA as well. I think to work in this business, you're going to want to think holistically about LA, having a base in LA and a base on the East Coast in Atlanta, maybe New York as well. And frankly, Albuquerque. All right, Albuquerque just got giant deals from Netflix that are used Universal up there. And we're supposed to open up during COVID, and now we're opening up now, and more money is being poured in. So if I was going to give you any advice as like where should I go, I would say, where do you want to live? And then make your career there, because the thing that makes you a pro in this business isn't necessarily where you live, it's how much of a pro you are. Is your package together? You have the branding, the headshots, the reel, the submission stuff, your website, your social media, is that all squared away? That's what's going to make you look like a pro. It doesn't matter necessarily if you're based in one or the other. So that would be my advice. Eliza, do you have anything to add?
I think that's a great compass, a great true north. Chris, just James J. Williams wants us to know that your sound is coming on and off.
No! So my friends, we're trying a new thing here, which involves using Facebook Messenger's live feature. We're trying that thing for Zoom, and so hopefully it's not broke.
I'm getting a little bit of it too. I think it might be that maybe your mic is too good.
My mic is too good? Not possible.
Too much information for Facebook.
Yeah, let's see here. Well, we'll just continue, and hopefully, listen, if you only hear half of what I say, I'm half as brilliant, but then Eliza will be twice as brilliant because you hear everything. So we'll just go from there, I guess. But if it keeps happening, just let me know. Hopefully it's not an ongoing thing. All right, Leah Carroll has a question. She says, I was told that I should probably get running into accents due to my mixed race, so I could potentially play characters from different regions as needed. I can do a bit of British, but it's not as good. So why should I learn some accents as a beginner actor? Ha ha ha. What if I lose the accent on set because I'm not used to that certain accent? Good question.
Excellent.
Good question. So there's two questions here. Why should I learn some accent as a beginner actor? Everybody out there, post in the comments, who here has an accent? Raise your hand if you have an accent in the comments. Okay, this is a trick question. You've heard me do this one before. If you speak out loud with language, you have an accent. If you speak with sign language, right? I have an accent. Everyone's got an accent. So, know this. Every time you open your mouth as an actor, you're going to be using an accent. Every character you ever play will require an accent. And so this means that you have to learn how to do accents because you're going to use them every time you act, including your own accent. And know this, you're going to have to modulate your own accent to fit the story that you're fitting in, on the off chance that the character isn't exactly like you. So that's why you should learn accents, because you're going to use them all the time. This is what I want to throw to you, Eliza, because I think you have some good stuff on this. What if I lose the accent on set because I'm not used to that?
That is a great question, and I'm going to tell you a secret. Everybody's concerned about this. Every actor is concerned about this. This is real. This is real. if you have a new skill you're not 100% sure of, Chris said it, time. Give yourself time. More time. The more time, the more certain, the more set. And if you lose the accent on set, you'll get it back. It's all in your body. You have it all the things you need are right here. So you'll get it back. Promise that your dialect coach, your accent coach, will give you the tools to bring that accent back if it slips away.
And you need to be prepped for those tools. Mm-hmm. So the time to start learning accents is when, Eliza?
Right now.
Yeah, like
today.
Well before you need to use them. Like, you know, imagine that we were not talking about accents. Let's say we were talking about stuff. And your question was, what happens if I'm not quite so good at Kung Fu when I get on set and I forget it? Well, the answer would be, like, we'll work more on your Kung Fu. Like, be great at Kung Fu before you have to do Kung Fu. You know, and this is actually harder than Kung Fu because not only is it as physically neurologically complex, but now it's be a good actor at the same time you act.
And it sounds like Leah's already in a great position, which is that she's getting advice from, that her castability is broad. And that is good advice because most people, they, you know, learning accents perhaps is something they want, but nobody has said, your castability would explode if you had this skill. So my advice, get with a coach as soon as possible because this is a skill that could increase your castability and you want that.
Yes, more casting opportunities with more accents. And you know what more casting opportunities leads to? More money, more jobs. Money, right? And that's what we want for you. Okay.
That's what we want for you. These are this is a joke that I sometimes, and I've done it to Chris before, but I hold up these fingers and I just say, do you know what these are? These are flames because you're on fire. That's my joke.
I heart Eliza. All right, Lala Hernandez. Ladasha's here. Ladasha's in my accent skills workshop. So if you guys have any questions about what accent skills are like, talk to Lala Hernandez there on the chat. He says, didn't you know accents took so much work on joining the course so far? Yeah, because it takes work. You know, we're learning mouth kung fu, right? I love this. Okay, let's see what we have here. Question. Oh, James Williams is here from Atlanta. Nice to see you. Rafaela Lopesco says, this is a great question for us. What made you decide to become an accent coach? Eliza, what made you decide to become an accent coach?
That's a great question. People find themselves in this line of work from a lot of different, I think, starting points. So some people find themselves here from like a linguistics background. Some people find themselves here from perhaps an opera background. And then sometimes people find themselves here from a purely performance theatrical background. You know, like that's where they started. That's where I started too. So Chris and I have that in common.
Yeah, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't know about you, Eliza, but when I was working as an actor, you know, the way the character spoke, the way the character's body felt, it was always my way in. And the more into that I got, the more and more I wanted to know about it. And the more training I got, then I was like, I think I want to teach this. I think I have an insight into this work that will organize it for actors to be able to do this themselves. And then that's when I took off and started running in the direction of coaching. And I freaking love it. I don't know if you guys think something.
I don't know. You're so, you know, very blasé about it, Chris. It's hard to tell that you're passionate about this topic. But you know, the moment that I decided to become a coach was I was in a training program. Knight Thompson Speechwork does a dialects and accent training program, and you can check out their website. It's ktspeechwork.org. And I was in their training program. And they showed us all the International Phonetic Alphabet, which are symbols that just represent every sound that has been documented in every language on the planet. It's extensive, it's huge, massive, vast, And I looked at all the sounds and I went, wow, that's so incredible. And the instructor said, you can make all of those sounds. And my you know, my that vastness, the hugeness of it, it wasn't overwhelming or intimidating anymore. It was empowering.
Possible.
There are so many possibilities. And that's when I got really, wait, you're trying to tell me that this amount of real estate in my body makes all of those sounds? And they said, yeah. And that's when I was like, this is it. This is so cool.
Sign me up. I'm hooked. That's fantastic. I love that story. I can listen to it all the time. Nathan Wright is here. Glad to see you. When on set, between takes and setup, there's usually conversations that happen, and I feel inauthentic talking in an accent that's not my own Australian. But then I find it hard sometimes to switch back to the Jen Ann right before the next take, especially if the lines in the scene are improvised instead of prepared. Any advice for that? And Nathan took some training with me both on Jen Ann and RP from his Aussie accent. He's a fantastic actor, really smooth with accents, keeps up on his training. And this, guys, even for like accent like pros, and I would say Nathan's really, really good at accents. All right, this is hard. In particular, very, very hard having these conversations and not feeling like yourself speaking in this other accent that you can take. Eliza, do you have any advice offered Nathan?
I'm so glad this question got asked, because I think that we're starting to see a change in on-set environment etiquette, with a kind of growing appreciation for accent as a physical skill. And so I know you don't want to seem like that person who can't tell when the camera's on and off, right? You don't want to seem like you're in the character or you're Daniel Day-Lewising this whole thing. It's as simple as a really just a sentence at the front of whatever conversation you're about to have. Hey, do you mind if I stay in my American accent? Just really helps me out to kind of keep the muscles where I need them to be. Mm-hmm. And nobody thinks about it again. You can actually really have that conversation with like 3 people, like director, DP, and like one
AD, second AD, or
yeah,
script supervisor, anybody who's going to be talking to you potentially.
And that information just trickles down. It trickles throughout the cast. It trickles throughout the crew. Like once they know, they never think about it again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great advice. And Nathan, as you know, in our work, we have worked hard to find springboard phrases for our accents. And the springboard phrase can be your best friend in terms of if you do have to drop the accent for some reason. Let's say you go to lunch and you're eating lunch, and eating is a great way to destroy vocal tract posture for your target accent. And if you have to get it back then after the lunch break and continue work that way, that springboard phrase is there to help you in that instance. Mm-hmm. Right? And if I'm there on set with you, Nathan, I will be harping on the springboard phrase. You remember that springboard phrase? You should probably do that springboard phrase. Have you done your springboard phrase recently? You should probably do the springboard phrase now again. What's your springboard phrase? Remind me. I don't remember the springboard phrase anymore. Can you say that loud again? I'll be that guy. Right? But that's the advice that I have to help you.
Sometimes you're on a set with multiple actors all speaking in the same accent. I happen to know, I heard some anecdotes from a pretty well-known Marvel film where everyone was speaking in an African accent that was the same, and it was important that everybody sound the same. The dialect coach encouraged the actors to stay in accent between takes, and so it just became, really easy because everybody was talking in it to each other all the time.
An accent's about identity, right? And so if everybody's allowed to have that full identity, then we can all share that identity together. And that's great for, by the way, creating ensemble and relationship between actors and things of that nature. I think it can be really, really powerful for us. Krista Kangas, I hope I'm saying that right, asks British dialect is most commonly used in film and television. Okay, that's a great question. And unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for this. Or at least I have a great answer. Just not a satisfying answer. I'm going to say all of them. Accents are, as our colleague Pamela Vanderway of dialectcoaches.com is fondly saying, accents are a layer of storytelling. So every accent's going to suit what particular story is being told. So just know that you can probably learn a couple of British accents if you look like you're most likely to be cast using, but then you need to learn accent skills so that no matter what British accent comes across, you know, oh, I could learn that one and prep for the audition, re-prep again for the callback, and then once I book the role, then I have a couple of weeks or a month or so to master the accent before I have to do it. Like that's what you want to plant in your mind as that. Yeah, that's what I would say there. Let's see here. I love it. Here's another question. Which Irish dialect is most used for stage TV and film, and how would you list New York on your resume? Eliza?
Well, I think it's a similarly unsatisfying accent. I mean, answer. It's a highly satisfying accent. The thing that I think is interesting is that the names we have for accents are sometimes
Inaccurate?
Inaccurate. I was like wrong.
Wildly wrong.
Wildly wrong. Inaccurate.
Yeah.
You know, people say New York, and there is not one New York accent, but you also do want to appreciate who's reading the resume and what vernacular they're used to using. And so if you have a New York accent that you feel great about, put New York. You don't have to put a borough. I think just put New York. If you have an Irish accent that you feel confident about, it's based on a real native speaker, you've taken time, you've worked with a coach, you feel confident in it, you can just put Irish. Because if they ask for it, then you can deliver the authenticity that's detailed and specific and regionally appropriate and fantastic.
And you've got multiple Irish accents that you've mastered. So you've got a Belfast, and you've got, you know, a Dublin and an Irishman. And so you've got those three, all very different Irish accents. Then you'll list those three separately. But when someone asks for Irish, you just get to choose which one you want to do based on the situation and what they may be expecting you to hear.
Yes, yes.
Good question. I love this. Okay. What accents would you prioritize with a new client? Whatever you're like, if you need it right away, that's the one for the audition. If you're coming just to learn accents, I'm sure you'll probably have an accent in mind that you're interested in learning. But mostly, we will prioritize with new clients. At least I will for sure. I know these two accent skills. I don't want you just to know one or two or three accents. I want you to be good at accents in general, to be a powerhouse accent actor, no matter what accent is asked for. To have the skill level to be able to learn accents in general. So that's, Rafaela, that's what I would prioritize. Then let's get good at that so that you have a wonderful experience. Anytime somebody asks you, hey, can you do that accent for that audition in 2 days? It's not a stressful experience. Going, oh crap, could I even do this? No. Rather, it's, yeah, okay, opportunity. I'm got a coach to work with. I know my process. I know how to make this happen. I want that to be a very positive, joyful, opportunistic experience. Next question's to you, Eliza. How long do you think on average it takes to master an accent if you practice every day for at least 2 hours?
Daniela, yes, every day for at least 2 hours. Well, you know, that's the speed of your accent acquisition is a very personal experience. So your home accent or your preferred accent has a very specific vocal tract posture. The target accent, which is the accent you're headed to, has a very specific vocal tract posture. And so your journey there is unique. It may take you, if you're practicing every day for at least 2 hours, a longer amount of time to reach one accent than another. And that has nothing to do with how, you know, difficult the accent is. It purely has to do with where you're starting and where that target accent exists. But my point of view is that 2 hours every day, that sounds like an adequate amount of accent training. That's good. Danielle, you've got this figured out. just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to get to the place you want to get to.
Absolutely, yeah. Consistent, targeted practice over time. That's what it takes. If you want to get good at playing drums, play drums every day for an hour or two. No way around it. Gotta practice. Love that answer. How would you list the Southern accent and skills? I would say here in the States in particular, you want to make sure that you are listing your Southern accents with specific places, just because there are enough actual native speakers going to be involved in this business, and they're going to say, which Southern accent do you have? And you want to be able to say, oh, I have Lubbock, Texas. I have Monroe, Louisiana. I've got Marion, Alabama. I've got Lexington, North Carolina. Like, we want to be really specific about that. The old kind of theatrical distinction between hard R and soft R doesn't really exist anymore, because soft R, the so-called soft R Southern accents, don't really exist in the world that much anymore in the way that they used to. So it's not a delineation. If you're going to put Southern, make sure you know which brand of Southern accent you're in. And if you don't know, study with an accent coach. Make sure you have at least one where you go, this is a Southern accent from this.
Yeah. There are a lot of questions here about how to list your skills. Talk to your coach. Your coach will tell you how to really accurately describe what you've got.
So that casting, whoever's looking at it goes, oh, I know what this is. We don't want to confuse them. We want them to look at your resume and go, a skill, let's cast this person. Here's a Marvel franchise in a bag of money. And that's what we want casting to look at your resume and get out of that. Leah Carroll. Now I have another question, I believe. For people with different sounds of voice, is learning your accent going to be harder? For example, I have a very young sounding voice for a 21-year-old. How can I take my young voice and make that specific accent sound believable and not so much cute?
Leah, you have really detailed, intelligent questions. With someone with this level of curiosity, I'm going to recommend that you get with a coach, like ASAP. This coach is going to be able, because you've got the drive. You're asking the right questions. And it comes down to technique. It's absolutely doable, and you can do it. So get with a coach and figure out the tiny adjustments to make this a reality. Absolutely. Find a coach. You're ready. You've reached the peak. Now it's time to crest the wave and ride that wave into the beach. Yes. There's also mixed metaphors coming out of my mouth. I feel like we're like fire. We're fuego with the metaphor. It's just like fire.
There it is. Okay. So Raphael is an opera singer, mezzo soprano. Maybe I should aim to master this. Yeah. If you already know, you already come with some knowledge of how this instrument works for that one purpose of singing opera. So it stands to reason that knowledge is going to be an asset to you in accent work. Do it. Don't wait. Do it. Come over. Come to the dark side. Learn accents. And lightsabers, maybe. Who knows? I can't promise lightsabers. I can promise that.
But like stunning sounds.
Exactly.
Stunning accent sounds.
All right. Shaylin again. Okay. While I've worked extensively on many different dialects over my career so far, properly learning to be fluent writing in IPA has continued to be one of my resolutions every year. I really need to settle in and learn it fully. Eliza, where would somebody go if they wanted like a full comprehensive IPA class and wanted to master that skill? Do you know where they would go, Eliza?
Chris, it's amazing you should ask me this, because I'm working with this amazing coach named Chris Lang on a class that is IPA for actors.
Yeah.
Currently in development. More info soon, but yes.
Yeah, this is the course for you, Shaylin. It's being developed specifically to be useful for actors. It's useful for actors who want to learn the IPA. It's useful for actors who have been a little bit burned by the IPA, maybe in college, or thought it was not going to mesh with them. All of these things, welcome you. This is the class for you. My guess is it's going to be live here maybe in the next month or so. Don't quote me on that, because we're developing it and we're fine-tuning it to make sure it's ready to go for you guys when we launch it. But I'm so glad you asked that. It gives us an opportunity to pitch this. You guys will love this class.
As Chris says, it's very holistic, meaning You can come to it with differing amounts of knowledge, but it's practical. This is all about practical application.
Right. Robin, again, was it Robin? Robin, you always set the question bar again just a little higher here. It says, hello, have you ever been asked to help with an accent that is now considered un-PC? The Disney Crows or Speedy Gonzales, etc. Yes, is the answer.
Yes. And I'd like to speak to this because I think as dialect coaches we have a certain amount of responsibility to shift what is allowed to get past us. And so if a production or a performer is enlisting a coach, they already care, right? That the dialect matters. And a lot of these accents, these voices, if you take them on their own, they are collections of sound. But when you apply them to a character, they're a tool for storytelling. And that's when something that is unspecific or incorrectly placed or seems inauthentic can do damage. Or, if a certain accent is used to sort of group incorrectly. I think we as coaches have a responsibility to keep this accents authentic, but also to help the choosing of the accent. Make sure that the accent is present in its correct role, which is to give fuller identity to the character, not to make the character more of a stereotype or a cliche, but to make the character more of a human.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can do.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And for you as actors who just heard Eliza say all that, you guys get to be on the forefront of this too. All right, so you guys have a voice on this as well. All right, and if you're working with an accent coach collectively, as a team, you guys have the ability to help make these choices and to work really good. Accents in general is your work as accent actors.
And may I say one more thing? As actors, you are not responsible to be accent experts. That is not what should be demanded of you. You are not responsible to know every detail and like what makes an accent PC or not PC. The most kind of informed decision you can make is, I'm going to ask my ally. I'm going to ask my coach, my support team.
Because we are here today. Yeah, and we want to make sure that those decisions are made as best as possible. This is great. Okay, Daniel Cameron asked, and we're getting close to the hour. Eliza, do you think we'll need to go over maybe 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, we can go over a little bit.
Okay, all right. So we're going to do that because we haven't broached any of the topics tangentially. We had a whole list of stuff we were going to go through, but these questions have been so freaking good, and I just want to continue answering your questions and then maybe get to some of our stuff. So we'll just continue on past our hour here.
And Chris, you know what? Maybe even you and I can do a part 2. We'll come back.
Part 2 next week, my friends. Stay tuned. Yeah, we'll probably do that as well. Just because this has been awesome fun. Okay, Daniel Cameron asked, do you have any advice for helping hold an accent? Some of them sometimes melt together. The big ones for me are Canadian, Jamaican, and German into French. Yes. My big advice is what Eliza said earlier. The physical distinction that you possess between those accents. All right? If you're relying on what you think you remember hearing, your brain can easily confuse accents and can send you careening from one into the other and melding them together very, very easily. Because your brain may not have just the sort of top shelf level skill while you're trying to be an actor, separate all those things. And it's likely because your brain is occupied being an actor at that point. So instead, if you have a physical awareness of the difference between accents, and by physical awareness, here's what I mean. Everybody, where is your left pinky finger? Okay, now, every single one of you went right here. Not like you went, oh, here it is. Right? You had an immediate physical awareness of left pinky. The same thing is possible in your vocal tract. Figure the delineation between accents and their specific physical features. And that's what we mean when we say physical awareness. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that one.
That's good. Yeah, there is no, that's it. That hits.
Shaylin is back again. Shaylin is a question machine. Asked, when I was learning RP for the first time, I was taught by someone who had done her MFA in the UK and was designated as being ESL. Because I choked on my own spit. Gross. It was designated as being ESL, even though she was an Anglophone Canadian and forced by her teachers to stay in RP nonstop, even on phone calls to home to her family in order to ingrain it fully. After that, I never feel guilty sticking in whatever accent I need in order to continue. This is interesting. That sounds like an old school style of training that we're wonderfully leaving. All right, there's nothing wrong with our native accents as we speak in real life, and to be forced to give that up in favor of another, somebody else's aesthetic preference of an accent, that's blatantly, that's linguistic fascism.
Yes.
Of the highest order, and I can't. It tastes so badly in my mouth. Even think about trying to do that to a client or a student, somebody who's passionate about learning accents, because it robs them of identity and of breadth and scope, and it actually blocks them from being able to learn other accents. So being able to stay in an accent long term, I never feel guilty about sticking whatever accent I need to. Yeah, in terms of learning muscle memory, encapsulating identity, integrating it into your acting, absolutely you should be able to do that. But on a day-to-day life, there's zero reason you should be forced to speak another accent.
Yeah, it sounds like, and I hear stories like this sometimes. I hear, and there's like drama in the extremity of it, which I get, and I know that it comes from a good place, which is that, like, an understanding that the longer you stay in a muscular shape, the easier that shape becomes. But it does sound like this particular training had no appreciation for the very real connection between accent and identity. So yeah, we don't demand that. Chris and we don't hold with that.
No. I don't truck with that nonsense. I don't fly with Chris. My West Texas came out. That's how much this is pissing on. All right. So I'm noticing, like, there's in the bottom of my comments, there's 43 new comments. Question. Guys, if you ask a question, we will circle back. We don't answer it live. Definitely get into the comments. We'll circle back. So ask your questions if you have them. Don't be scared. We won't get to them. And Arian Moody asks, are there certain accents that are easier to master than others? For example, living in Michigan, would it be easier to master another U.S. accent than, say, Irish accent? The relative ease, my friends, of learning any accent is really based on your skill level with accent skills and how fluid you can be between different mouth shapes and all these, body parts being rearranged in different postures and sound targeting and training your ear and all that. So if you feel like an accent's far away from you, it may be because the language that accent comes from is far from yours. Like, for me, Asian accents are always a little more challenging because I don't speak any of them. And so what's required to speak those languages and therefore those accents is just a little bit more challenging to me because I never knew it my real language, right? But if you're good at skills, you know how to adopt them. You know how to put those things into your vocal
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just individual, and so Aria, begin the journey. Find out. Yeah. Find out. The process itself. I mean, listen, Chris and we're nerds, right? Nerds. But the process itself is enjoyable. Even for people who don't consider themselves speech nerds. I think any actor who enjoys the physical embodiment of the acting process also enjoys the physical embodiment of the accent process. It could be that early on in trying out accents, you got burned, you maybe got a teacher or some response that was not positive, and as a result, you feel like accents are a little bit less accessible. But any actor who enjoys diving into the process of physicalizing,
this is for you. And if you think that's not you, We'll teach you how it is you.
Join us. I love every time Amanda comments, she's got a comment about a Maine accent, and I love it. I'm here for it every single time. Thank you, Amanda.
I'm loving this. Okay, let's see here. Leah says, "Yippee! I'm going to look at getting lessons with either of you ASAP. Come on in. Yeah, either me, Eliza, both great options. Eliza's got better hair than I have always. I can say that's like, you want to look at a good coif the whole lesson. That's go with Eliza for sure. My facial hair is a little more important. That's what we do. That's it. Okay. Let's see here.
You're a bag of cats. I love it.
Okay, I am going to butcher this name. Eliza de Franca. Please tell me if I've said that right or wrong. How to deal with my own Latin accent. I want to get an American accent, and I'm of Latin American background. Afraid to get an American accent and forget my Latino accent. What to do?
Ooh, I would really love to do this.
Yeah.
I had a conversation about this yesterday. An actor who had been kind of called upon throughout their whole career to speak in what's sometimes called a general American accent, but this sort of kind of all-purpose American accent that they work in. Before you begin an accent acquisition process, your coach should give you the time and space to make recordings, to make detailed descriptions, to spend time really understanding the components of your own accent. One, this makes the journey from point A to point B, your target accent, so much faster. So you can acquire this kind of all-purpose American accent much more quickly if you first know exactly where you're starting from. Other benefit, you have all that work. You have it all detailed. Anytime you feel like you're like, oh, where's me? Come back to the recordings, come back to the description, come back to the all of the gold that you have mined, and just revel in yourself. Just like
when you come back, you'll feel like home. You're like, oh.
Yeah. It's like a hug in accent form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, to repeat what was said earlier on in this hour, is that we don't ever want you to lose your accent, because it's a marketable skill. It's a giant part of who you are as an artist, and it's worth keeping and celebrating and honoring that part of you. So we're big proponents of making sure that is like sacred in our work in a way. Mm-hmm. Teresa asks, sometimes accents may seem NPC now, but if it's authentic in the character's speech, era, socioeconomic level, location, or race, it is still a valid accent. Language is a part of our identity, so we need to also respect that. We have to tell the writer's story. You can choose not to participate if you find the content in poor taste as well. Yeah, I mean, just to repeat, accent's a layer of storytelling. And so our goal with authenticity is to tell that story as authentically and as detailed as possible, so that we can honor the people who actually speak these accents in the real world. We want to honor their stories. So, it can be a fraught process. Just know our goal is to approach it with sensitivity, with curiosity, with wonder, with art in mind, and to try to make the best decisions possible collectively, so that we're telling the story in the best way possible, right? Casting choices aside, which we sometimes have an input in, but often do not, that's where it can be fraught a little bit more. But just know, don't worry too much about this for yourselves. Just focus on building your skill and your technique. Focus on that. That's where you want to put all of your efforts, so you can be good at this stuff. Okay, let's see. Next question. Amanda, again, this Maine accent, I love this. Like, yes, I've seen too many people try to do New England or Maine accent, and it's close, but could be a lot better if they only give some native actors some lines to read. Really, what we're dealing with here is a situation probably where the actors were not given adequate time to prepare. If you ever watching film or TV and the accent, it's not quite, it's there, but it's not quite there. Something's a little off. Almost never the actor's fault, my friends. Almost always because production did not give them enough time. And so you don't want to be put in a position where that's you You want to have your skills ready so that regardless of the prep time, you have the best option to be successful in this. So it's not just about letting native speakers record some lines and copying them, but having adequate time to look at real life speakers, get a detailed analysis going, put it into your own body, build muscle memory, integrate the identity portion into the acting, and rock out as an awesome actor in the moment. Right? That process takes what? T-I-M-E, time. Just takes time, guys. Just takes time. You'll never hear me say it.
Daniel, I think Daniel's got a question right under here. That going back to controversial accents, I'm told by my agent, manager, and a few other folks that my Indian accent is spot on. However, with the voice acting and film industry growing to be more inclusive, would it be wise to no longer use that accent and take it off my resume? This is a good question. And my kind of immediate kind of counter to that would be like, the people that have told you that the accent is spot on, are any of those people Indian? Do any of those people speak Hindi or Tamil?
Are any of those people accent experts?
Yes. And if they are, and you have this kind of like killer Indian accent, I would put it at the very end of special skills. Mm-hmm. To sort of let it be clear that it is an interesting detail about you, but you do not expect to be cast. If you believe that you're not, if that's not going to happen.
Right.
Daniel Cameron.
I think it's a great answer. That's exactly what I would recommend as well. Awesome. Let's see here. James Williams, your thoughts on potentially developing bad/wrong habits when off script by saying the accent 24 hours daily like a method actor? First and foremost, I don't think method acting requires you to stay in the accent 24 hours a day. I think targeted practice is really what you're after, James. When in my life can I carve out time to make sure that I'm intentionally working on the features of the accent so that I can be free with this accent within the script? And that's a part of a whole process your accent coach is going to take you through. So just know that you're largely working in consultation with the coach. You should never be making these decisions on your own. Ever. Right? Do not think that you're an accent expert, because you're not, unless you're doing what Eliza and I are doing. You're not at the level to be able to make those decisions for yourself and to be able to self-diagnose. You can't listen to your own accent. No more than you can watch your own acting and and in the moment, change stuff for yourself. There's no way for that to be possible. So you always need to work in consultation with your accent coach about that process. Because if you get to a point where you feel like you have to stay in the accent 24/7, otherwise it'll go away, then we've reached a point where you don't have technique that you can trust. You're just trying to hang on to the cliff and scramble for anything that's a handhold. You actually need technique and skill, the foundation, so that I can pull this accent on and off anytime I want. That's what we would like.
Very true. Yeah. Very true.
All right.
Teresa says, are there accents that are more difficult to learn after a certain age? If that language uses tones, sounds that yours doesn't, guttural sounds, rolled R's, African clicks, languages that depend on specific notes and tones? And the answer is, great question, Teresa. Those are always difficult to learn if they're far away from you. Any accent that has sounds that are distinct and not present in your home accent are challenging to learn. I think that it's interesting that you put down after a certain age. What they've noticed very specifically in language learning is that there is development in the brain, absolutely, so that language learning before a certain age does have perhaps a smoother journey. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it's more in terms of structure. Children are less socially punished for mimicking.
Yeah.
Which is accent acquisition. Watching, observing, mimicking. That's how you take things on. So it's a great question you ask. It's an unsatisfying answer, which is that they'll take the time that they take for you. You'll get to know where you're starting from, and that will make your journey faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this is great, my friends. Let's see here. Important to realize that accents can add to your tool chest, and nothing's keeping you from keeping your own accent as well. It's not a substitute, it's an addition. Yeah, our job is to acquire additional accents so that we can be more expansive, increase capacity opportunities, and those types of things. So we're going to do a part 2, I think, next week. Shall we commit to that, Eliza? Part 2?
I would love to do a part 2, and we can talk about all
so
of my...
we're going to come back and actually then go through our list of how to be successful on set with an accent. We did talk about some of it today in terms of the in-between takes kind of stuff and that, but we have a whole list of stuff we want to talk about. But you guys were so great today with your questions that we don't regret not getting into our stuff at all, because it's so much fun for us to interact with you guys, address where you're at in your process today, and help you guys today in a tangible way. So there's a question here. The final question is, what is the info for you guys' courses? All right. Eliza, if they want to know more about your offerings, remind them where to go, how to contact you, what to do about that.
You can check out my website, which is dialectsnow.com, or contact me on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok at dialectsnow. That's dialects, plural, now. When?
Now.
When? Now. Because, Chris, when's the best time to start learning dialects?
It's now.
Right now.
Your dialects now, my friends. If you guys are interested in my courses, you guys hear me every Tuesday talking about my accent skills workshops. All right, you can go to my website, dialectcoachchrislang.com. All right, I have a very friendly chatbot there that will happily take your information. You can schedule a free Zoom consultation after leaving your information with my chatbot. We'll talk for 20 minutes, half an hour, get you squared away. If you're interested in starting the Accent Skills Workshop right away, it's courses.dialectcoachchrislang.com, and you can sign up right away. But if you want to talk to me first, I can talk you through the process, what it's like. That's kind of what I recommend. Come to me first, and then we can get you squared away. So go to my website and do that. If you want to find me on Twitter, @DialectCoachCL, Instagram, @DialectCoachCL. Here on Facebook, I have a page, it's Dialect Coach Chris Lang. You can definitely follow me there, but also here. We are on TMFA, Eliza and I, and we really, really are interested in seeing your dialect work in action. So Monologue Monday is a perfect opportunity for this. So please, please, my friends, please, on Monologue Monday, if you're doing an accent monologue, which is, by the way, anytime you open your mouth to use language, so any of these, please tag us, all right, so that we can take a look at what's going on and give you some accent feedback. The perfect opportunity to get some good general feedback on what's going on, maybe some guidance in towards where to look for training next, those kinds of things. All right, any final questions? Quickly, why does a bad Welsh accent end up sounding like Pakistani? Because they share sounds in common. And if the authenticity on the Welsh isn't quite toned in, it's going to probably share some similarities with stuff that you recognize in Pakistani. And it's also likely that from your perspective, it's not Pakistani, but from somebody else's perspective, it might sound like another accent. So just that your brain is wired to receive accents and languages from your own native accent language's perspective. Mm-hmm. So that's why it sounds a little Pakistani to you as like. Let's see here. Any books or videos you recommend we use to help us develop accents? Certainly. Eliza mentioned Knight Thompson's speech work earlier, as we were both speaking that training. Eliza's certified teacher of Knight Thompson's speech work. Experience, what the heck is it called? Speaking with Skill.
Speaking with Skill.
Dudley Knight's book, Speaking with Skill, the co-founder of Knight Thompson's speech work. It's a great introduction. I teach out of that book. A lot of the anatomy and exercises I use are from that book. I'm sure Eliza's the same way here. So that's a good one. But there is no substitute for working with a coach. You cannot learn how to do accents just from a book or from YouTube video or anything like that. You can't do it. I don't think you can. Nobody's bigger than me.
No, it's just it's a social exercise. Speech is a social exercise. You need a
together.
human.
Yeah, we should.
Thanks for being my human today, Chris.
No, thanks for being my human today, Eliza. So part 2 is next week, guys. We can only either be like 3 times awesomer, and we were pretty awesome today, or we're just only crash and burn, and we didn't see the whole spectrum. So,
either way, it's going to be a good watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a good watch. So please do join us as we talk about success on set with your accent acting. And Scott says the Pakistani Welsh thing. With all respect, I thought it was the rhythm. Yeah, it might be the rhythm, in fact. There might be a rhythmical pattern there because music or the prosody of an accent is just as big in detail to authenticity as the sounds themselves are. So it might actually be that. All right, my friends, please do reach out. We are here to help. If you guys are watching this not live and have questions, put them in the comments. We will circle back and see if this has happened, and we'll be sure to answer your questions. But tune in next week, the same bat time and the same bat channel, for part 2 of us talking about how to succeed on set with your accent acting. Eliza, thank you so much for joining me here today. I can't wait for next week. And my friends, please do look up Eliza. She's got lots of great offerings, including her accent gyms, which we didn't talk about. But that's a teaser for next week. And we'll talk about the accent gym. And for my accent skills workshops, if you guys are interested, show up, or for private sessions with either of us. All right, everybody, much love to you all on TMFA. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated, stay in training. Always be training, and we will see you next Tuesday. All right, my friends, until we meet again. Bye.
Bye.